Amitabha Buddha salutes the people. People woke up this morning. The first idea is, do people remember the Buddha? People remember the Buddha, but do people have the heart to pray for the dead? Ladies and gentlemen, and our masses will continue. Exactly 11 noon. We will continue to build trust by the teachings of the Fathers. In our Pure Land practice, reception will continue today. A complete quote from Master Vinh Minh. I would like to repeat again the name of the Master. Is the Amitabha Buddha incarnate? What the reader receives is the benefit of his teaching. The Buddha of Amitabha. But I'll read a passage that you'll listen to. Because now being the cause means our practice. Today is the cause. The time of death is the fruit. You need to be honest and not fake. If you want to get 10 points, there must be preparation beforehand to gather all the merit at the same time to dedicate at the time of death. Remembrance, there is no need to worry about anything. There's nothing to worry about. It's a phase of Master Vinh Minh. Continue to teach us. You're very clear. The thought, Buddha is the thought, Buddha is the cause. The Buddha is the fruit. Remember, the Buddha is the cause and the Buddha is the fruit. The Buddha is a deep believer in cause and effect. How do we sow? That's how we will reap. By that. You can't use a bad idea in there. You can't deceive the beings in it. This place is dangerous, the danger of living beings, and one of the most dangerous factors. To lose part of there. They think of the Buddha now. Why do you say that? Ask the people who recite the Buddha. Ask them if they were not sure they recited the Buddha because of the past birth. Their aspirations are not white-footed. Rely on the Dharma vow. As the good Master said, how is such a person called a person? Such a person is called. Where are you? Not in accordance with the Buddha's vow. It is not in accordance with the vow of the Buddha. Who recites the Buddha without wishing for birth is really not in line with the Maitreya Buddha's vow. That's why the Buddha is our guru. To preach. The Western world is ecstatic. The holy name of God is for us. That's because you don't want us. Practice to pray for small but simple blessings. In this woman's world, one wants to get out of 6. But God's grace is capable. The power to help us get out of raw 6. Rebirth and death. That we're in for hundreds of thousands of lives. It's like having a float now, with rope straps available. Just hold on. Make sure that as long as you accept, we will escape from the sea of suffering. So here it says, now we practice is the cause. The time of death is the fruit. We have to be honest. To recite the Buddha because of the birth. Don't use our practice of reciting Buddha's thoughts to make a representation. Do the form. Let others flatter you. Praise me, praise me. It's something. It's a magazine. It's a vow in there. Listen to this place again. Listen carefully. At Sao, it is said to be a magazine. Remember. So that at the time of death the idea is only the most specialized. To recite the Buddha because of the birth. It's right in the goodness, even in good health when young. You have to listen to this a lot. What are you listening to? Remember their recitation of the Buddha. I recite my prayers. It's all because of Western ecstasy. We have to do what it's engraved in our minds. Engraved in the mosaic of our minds. It gives solidity. Don't have a foundation fault that starts through another vow. This place is important. Many people practice the time they pray for something. They need that touch. What is the time to pray for? All family diseases. Career bridge. Health bridge, longevity bridge, and so on. They don't know that. A bridge of ecstasy born in the West is the full box. Enough to fill the other bridges. That's how. When we recite a Buddha's name, how many good deeds are rewarded? In the ecstatic Western world, in the title of a deed or Buddha, is that it's embedded in our bodies and minds. Marinate our hearts and the merit of the press. We propose this Buddha title. This name of Buddha is the fruit of the Buddha. Once we put up this Buddha title, it means bringing the blessings. Your goodness has been. It has accumulated to do the merit of good deeds. My own grace. It's called taking his fruit. To practice to be your own person. What is your fruit? I think it's the Amitabha Buddha. Day we recite the title, that we take the multiplier, the Buddha to become the fruit, to the ecstatic Western world. Once born into the ecstasy of the Western world, there is something that we can't fully fulfill. I really mean it. If you really recite this Buddha sign, praying for Goddess forgiveness in the present, right in the present, our blessings will be fulfilled for us. The thing's there. It's just a small thing in our world. To remember a recitation of the Buddha's recitation is to solve the problem of birth and death, suffering in birth and the suffering of birth and death. We can still solve it. The most difficult thing about humans, we can still solve it. Then why? Small things like a happy family, children, wife, money, career, do something that can't be solved. That's a normal thing for me. For us. So through this process, we should remember. Our current practice is the cause. When the mind is collective, let's build the cause. Is to really recite the Buddha because of the past birth. Don't be for one idea, another wish, so that it's not too smart to dilute the will. He lost his will to die. I don't know how to recite the Buddha to do something. Why does Japan mention this place so much? Why do I mention this place so much? Because many people suffer. Ask the Buddha what to do. Just ignore it, and howl and howl. That is, the vague suspicion that I do not know. Later you are charming enough. Advise someone. Remind a person to first speak to reciting the Buddha. You keep saying recitation of the Buddha. It's a prayer. The reason for thinking of Buddha is because of the fact that he is born once. If you have a heart of prayer, everything will be peace for us. Everything will be fine for us. It says there needs to be a real person. The new fruit is not false. If you want to get 10 points, there must be preparation beforehand. At the end of the last thought, solve the problem of where we're going. I want the mind to be perfected. What do you say here? There must be preparation, whatever it is that comes to us. We go to the battlefield, we fight, we have to prepare our weapons. How many months of training? A little bit of sweat. But to go to the battlefield without bloodshed. Now, try to work hard here to build your will. Mind Buddha at the time of death. It's not rotated by karma to attract and lose the birth. I lost my job, so here it is. I want to achieve 10 thoughts. There must be preparation beforehand. There has to be preparation beforehand. That's not the case. We want to be okay. It has to be evaluated for anything, ladies and gentlemen. Your whole life is traded for the so-called 5-6 ceiling, for the joy of this world. What is the cause? That's what you did when you died. And our whole lives are exchanged for this whole life. Because of the recitation of the Buddha, because of the practice of prayer. What does the Buddha do when he dies? Why does the Buddha abandon this truly sincere person? The important thing is in place. Let's reconsider ourselves. Let us not ask whether we are born or not. To be born. Can you ask where you are? Okay or not? You know what? People don't know how to give you your heart. But that's what you do when you build Rosao. At the time of death, whether or not you solve it yourself, solve it yourself. We're very, very important. At Sao, the theme of this modern wave came out. What it is. Big business, we have to take care of ourselves. So, this path is for you. Go and solve it yourself. When you go alone. You suffer alone. You're happy. You are free as well as yourself. Who can help you? Hips, no AI can help you. So, you know that already. Clearly, this is transparent, whether or not someone has to do it. Reciting Buddha is not reciting Buddha. Show it if you recite for yourself, recite for someone else. Why? Because this is for me. Remember to do it for yourself, not for anyone. So, whether it's a few people or a lot of people, even if there is no shadow, that's a lot of people, whether alone or with anyone. You to yourself. You try yourself. You make your own effort. Then you'll get that result that you claim. No one can replace you. Don't practice with a false mind. Some people make it look like there's no one. Turn 180 degrees and become a different person. What's the point? There is no benefit for you. So, that's what you guys keep saying. I want to achieve 10 thoughts. There must be preparation beforehand. The recitation of the Buddha as the Great. Let's not put too much weight on it. The problem is to be single-minded, is to catch self-reflection and recite the Buddha continuously. Remember the great ones. Remember Master Tin Buddha. There's also a mention of Buddha. It's simple. It's simply about changing your own habits. Once upon a time, I used to be in trouble. In my spare time, I went to the city to chat and now say that's the lost cause. Talk bad about who stabbed you. Criticizing people is the degrading factor. To create the karma of killing lewd, it's what builds us up. It is in birth and death. Now we're in exchange. Free time Buddhist recitation ceremony. Free time remember Buddha recitation. It's simply changing the strangeness. Become a habit. Turn familiar into strange. What is it that we are unfamiliar with reciting the Buddha? Now let's make it a habit. It's good to know. We change the modification to the familiar. Every day changes. Every day changes. Every month changes. Every year. Change this whole life. What is the way to change? Take this Buddha sign. Take this dying wish as the goal. It's the direction of my own life. Remember, it's just change. Thinking badly. Stinging AIO and forget. God's people talk about that. Stinging AIO and forget. Stop trying to recite that Buddha is something. What is it? Change that switch. I'm not afraid of the beginning. I'm afraid of the slow. When you say bad things, that's a good word. I used to say bad things for 15 to 20 minutes. Now say the startled thing. Recollection of the Buddha. Amitabha Buddha. I recite the Buddha's wish for the future. I pray for your life. That's what we did in the early stages. You get used to everything. Don't be ashamed of yourself, for example. Meet someone who does something to me. I am annoyed that I swear. Cursing time and put your hands on your armpits. Oops. Shit is finally done. Amitabha Buddha's tissue. Buddha. I pray to the Buddha for my Gradually, you practice today. I screamed for 10 minutes. I remember tomorrow. Give me 5 minutes to remember tomorrow. Give me a minute of shock. The recollection of the Buddha tomorrow. But he also hated it. But it's in my head. I'm a Buddhist who can't do that. There's no such thing. Gradually changing the mood. To change my shit with what it is. Take the Buddha and build it up. Take the willingness to build in. People understand hip. Don't put too much pressure. Don't get too nervous on the way. It gives you time to try. But it doesn't give you the heart to give up. On this road, you try. Know that you can't change it immediately, but give you time to try. Today is not tomorrow. Tomorrow is not the day after. There is no day this year, not another year. But there's always the mind trying, the mind trying, the mind trying. People are the most afraid. What is it? Do you make you give up? You're trying to do AI without supporting you. You're willing to modify AI and not support you. It depends on each person's karma, the identity of each person. Even though the karma of evasion is different, I still believe in Buddha, the hostage, no matter how karmic. But I recite the Buddha. I pray that the Buddha will not leave me. I know the Buddha did not leave me. That's right. My son will never leave you. It's like my father is evil. Even if I am evil, no matter what, but turn your head back. I'm really telling you, Father's love is immense though it is. There is no turning. Once it's my baby. The children's love in which they still love themselves. You too, German from the Maitreya. Is the great sense, and then your love. It's beyond the love of the 6 religions, the love of parents too. It's not love, it's compassion. Loving sentient beings wants sentient beings to escape from depression. It's in birth and death. Your parents can love you for a lifetime, but loving corruption, in the attachment in it, the love of the Buddha, is the love of liberation of enlightenment. Help us get out of depression, the wheel of life and death and suffering. So let's not say that our karma is heavy. I thought we were a lot. It's not hard to remember. I can only remember the Buddha. There is only one prayer in this world. Believe that Buddha will not leave you. I believe that there is always a will to try. Give it time. Always try, but don't give up. This place is very important. It's very important. I hope people hear these stories. The mind gives me a chance. Everyone has something wrong, but it's important. To have the heart to try is to have the heart to change. He wants to achieve 10. There must be preparation. What is the preparation here? As the modern saying goes, I change the air every day with my work. Recite the Buddha today wrong and recite the Buddha today. Today, the wrong thing to do. Getting used to it, you get used to it, you touch everything. Amitabha Buddha let me go to the West. Amitabha Buddha sent me to the West. Gradually become familiar and recite the title a lot. In the name of Buddha, it's got the magic of phonics in it. It takes a few months naturally. It's been an incredible day. Today is extraordinarily optimistic. We don't know that. Invisible together we recite the name Buddha. Is that we are imbued with merit? The good calls from your intuition into our minds. I can't see it, but it really is. It's like a cell phone. Wi-Fi communication network. Can you see it? We can't see with our naked eyes that there are hips. There too. Meritocratic merit to recite the Buddha's name, but it's been invisible for a long time. It stinks inside of me. As my son, as we are deep karma, but stay in the room. Smell of incense forever. I also smell good for a long time. I also smell good for a long time. The same goes for karma. No matter how deep it is. If you keep reciting the Buddha for a long time, the karma will be eliminated. You have to believe this. What is in a word? A letter of faith. Believe the Buddha's words are not false. Believe the ancestors are not false. That's the proof of the ancestors. You have practiced. You have proved it all. Continue. Gather all the merit at the same time. If the memory is not lacking, there is nothing to worry about. What this means is that you say, all the good works, everything in this world. Let us focus on the prayer of the dead. The big thing is to send you back to the West. Small job. It is also a vow to return to the West. Great good deeds. Children, send me to the West. I made a mistake. Please turn your head. Let me turn to the West ecstasy. My heart is the West. Everyone wants to go to the West. How do you say it here? Gather everything and then gather everything. It's like it's simple now, guys. Here's a box. How much we put up. Put it all together. Keep it clean. Always back one to one point. The same is true of small and big things. Everything we practice is consigned to the world. Western ecstasy, all about the Western world. Here you say, if the memory is not lacking, there is nothing to worry about. All our lives. Take the heart of the Buddha to pray for ecstasy. As a motto, the goal is top. Then you've been honest. Remember, you've been honest. That's how you have to believe. The mind is sincere. Then definitely don't worry. Don't doubt. Repeat. Have the heart to truly recite the Buddha's call for ecstasy. It's focused on ecstasy. Buddha did not leave me to worry. How to multiply? If you are fake, you get fake. If you are real, you believe that the real will come to you. The truth will come to you. Just somewhere else, believe in the Buddha. The important question is, do we have anything that encroaches on us here? If there is a false pretense, there's a trick in it. Have a reputation that nourishes her. There's evil in there. Let's look at the truth about birth and death. Let's say some disturbing impurities. We can't change that. That we tried, but we haven't fixed it yet. But always have the mind to try to recite the Buddha. To pray for ecstasy. And don't leave people turning around. That you turn the golden head unchanged. Not floating. It's about trying, not giving up. Glasses for the masses. Prayer to recite the Buddha. This life soon returned to the Western world. A deed or Buddha, the Buddha.